I can highly recommend getting a notebook, because if you don't have a brain like we do currently, where we're like working on 10,000 projects at the same time, and you need to outsource information into the physical realm and not subject them to the ephemeral being of your brain cells, then yeah, notebook.
Yes. What am I doing with my life now?
Yeah, it's the last week. It's the last day, actually. So we're approaching the last hour, and I'm not yet on my last task, so we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, now we have better settings. So we actually have graphics settings that are exposed to the user, so that on our low-end devices, people can actually turn down the quality settings. That helps a lot. On this computer, which is not necessarily a gaming device, the game now runs on at least a solid 30 FPS on Full HD. It's still not amazing, but it's somewhat acceptable. And also the code from our end that we scripted for the game logic should be a lot better. I did a whole bunch of work on the user interface, which I'm still not very happy with. I'm sure somebody that actually has more experience using Godot for making user interfaces would claw their eyes out when they see the code, but it works. It's just a bit unfortunate that it's going to be kind of jagged on low resolution devices, but at least we have nice scaling, so it actually looks good independent of aspect ratio and screen resolution, which that was the biggest issue, but that's working. Break for looking at what I actually did again.
So for DogWalk, I've been polishing and adding new assets. So the problem was that people were getting confused in the whole world. We want them to explore, and we want them to get lost a little bit. We want them to find their way back to the spot where they need to drop the items, of course. Julian and Vivian had some great ideas for making more recognizable spots in the whole world. So really strange arrangements of trees or bushes that people remember. And then there's also new signs that Vivian made, and I turned them into assets so people can hopefully find the major landmarks. I've also made those little islands here and there to make sure that people can find recognizable spots, and we have tree mushrooms now. A tipped over tree, some boulder pines, some broccoli on a hill. I don't know why I called it like that.
Oh yeah, and the settings now actually also save and load, which was a bit more tricky than I thought it would be, because I need that to sync up to what the settings show, but I also don't want to unnecessarily save settings that are in the default position and stuff like that. But yeah, now when the player changes their settings on next game start, that's also kept. And I think that's the main stuff. Yeah.
And the production is over. I mean, we finished everything that we wanted to finish, or at least what was necessary. And at this point, we're mainly working on fixing stuff. Most of the people moved on to the next project. After this, I'm even going on vacation, and Vivian is too. It really feels like it's putting a stop on the work and a bit of recovery time afterwards. But I'm really happy with what we've put together. It's really good. There's now credits. There's footage for the credits.
Right, the credits. So I made a whole system for the credits that we can just use a JSON file to just push the data that we actually want in the credits in there, and then it automatically generates all the slides and puts the slideshow together so that they can run. Yeah, just experience from previous projects told me that you might want to last minute change the credits around here and there, add some people, fix some typos, and having to do that manually on like 20 different slides is a bit tedious, so now we have a system that just automatically generates it.
It's like from a horror movie. The echoes of Dante's Inferno.
This is what my day sounds like when I'm at home.
Zijn we moe of zijn we verveeld? Omdat de hond te veel aan het rennen is en dan vallen we de hele tijd op de grond. Dus dan moeten we chocomel. Alsof je heel geïrriteerd bent. Ga je dat een paar keer doen?
Oh, chocomel.
Ja.
Oh, chocomel. Ja.
Mag je heel vaak doen voor mij?
Yay! Woo! Yay! Woo! Oh, ja! Auw. 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 Oef. Auw. Bla 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 bla.
Something as simple as in this game, for example, I don't think this was ever requested either, but all of the bushes, all these reeds, just having like a little kind of sound. Well, that was terrible, but that stuff just like gives such a vibe to an action that has inherently like no value in a game, except for aesthetics and like fun. I guess that's the most important thing about the game. I feel a little sad that it's done. Yesterday I had a little moment at home where I was like, damn, like it wasn't even 6 weeks ago when I kind of really got started. I never figured it'd be this big of a project. And it's still, for a game, relatively small. There's just like a lot of people working really hard on it. Like, just look at this stuff. This is crazy. You can have such a nice thing in such a short amount of time. I guess you guys have been working on it for 4 months.
I'm getting out of the tunnel vision mode of just working on the game. Anything else? Let me check my notes, which I don't have in my little booklet, but I actually have online, so I can look at it on any device.
So the next project that we're tackling is called Singularity. That's a temp title currently, for lack of a better name, because there is, I think, already a pretty bad movie called Singularity out there.
Andy asked me to do an animation test.
Of the fish?
It looks like a bit like a fish. So that was fun to explore a little bit of the character and also testing, do we animate on ones, animate on twos? That is now thrown over the fence to Andy, and that means that he can now test shading and rendering on that animation.
This week actually I didn't do shit because I've been sick. So what do you want me to tell? That I've been sick?
Last week then?
I have to check my notebook like Simon. I want to be like Simon. He was really funny, checking his notebook all the time. I don't note anything, so I just draw penises. I've been doing some animation tests for Critter. First some swim cycles in space, whatever, to check how he was gonna move, and then I did a layout / blocking for an animation test of him swimming between some rocks, and I'm refining it at the moment. So, as we speak.
We have a temp rig and we have our animators, Publico and Rick, and they had some free time. So they've been doing some really cool animation tests to give us some clues about what the character design is going to be. That's going to happen in a month though, so not yet. I've been mainly working on the edit. In the past months I've been showing it to different people and everyone had notes, and I'm slowly and steadily trying to address the notes to make the story clearer and also to make it flow a little bit better. We're at 5 minutes, 70 shots, and we only have 4 months to really do it in production, so we'll see. Stay tuned.
So, look at this. Animating on twos?
Of course. Listen,
Tell me.
I don't think we can animate on ones.
Why not?
It's gonna take so long.
Took me 2 days.
But have you seen your animation?
Yeah?
Then I mean,
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't say anything, but you know, like, I don't like to compare.
Prepare.
I don't like to compare, you know, but
Prepare to animate on ones.
I don't like to compare.
Double quota for you. And then lastly, I've been prepping the facial rigging project that will start next month. We've been already going into the design process together with Vivian to make some cool concept sculpting and sketching. I'm now doing a bunch of automation for the facial rigging project, which means that a lot of drivers are hooked up from shape keys to the controls. And that means when you have 200 plus shape keys, it's a hassle to do that manually. And with the correct naming convention, I can actually just hit a button and it will just connect all the shape keys to the bones. So that's cool. Yeah, trying to make my life as easy as possible.
Well, the other thing that we needed to figure out is typically when we end a project, we put example demo files on the studio website, and people can download them, play with them, and see how we actually made the movie. And in this case, it makes sense to just provide an export of the entire project. So anyone who subscribes to the Blender Studio website should just be able to get all the files. And since this is a bit of a different project, we're going to continuously update it and do a bit of fixing and cleanup. And that's basically it. Now we need to relax a little bit and then figuring out, are we going to have like a little launch party, a bit of a celebration? But that's to be figured out once I'm back from vacation.
I'd love to do this again. Shout out to Blender Studio. Shout out to Julian and Vivian for asking me and insisting that I should do everything audio. Thanks to Simon for showing me the fastest fix to a problem I was looking at for hours. Bo for giving me good feedback. I can list everybody. Haru for giving me a nice time. At this point, it'll be a little dramatic to keep going, but
This is a nice note to end on.
yeah, I'm very happy. Sad and happy.